بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
Okay, so we were talking about this hadith sharif, or in fact few hadiths last week. Let me quickly go over them, and then inshallah we'll have some new hadiths to today. One of the hadiths that we learned last week was talking about keeping the masjid clean. Therefore Rasulullah prohibited us from spitting on the ground of the masjid, or cleaning your nose in the masjid and then polluting the walls of the masjid. And Rasulullah showed that, if you see somebody doing it, then it is your job to go and remind that person that this is wrong. Okay? And one of the best acts is to clean the masjid. Let's say somebody had polluted the masjid, made the masjid dirty, either in the women's section or the men's section. So to clean the masjid, instead of going and confronting him, let's say if you go and tell that person, he will become mad and he will start arguing with you. Because some people have this mentality, they love to argue, although they could be wrong. But so instead of that, if you clean that masjid, then remember what Rasulullah had promised, that Allah, in fact one hadith sharif said that one of the best acts that you can do is clean the masjid. Clean the masjid. So that famous hadith in which that woman passed away, right? And Sahaba buried her without informing Rasulullah since it was night time. So in the morning Rasulullah said to Sahaba, had you told me that such woman have died, I would have come to pray janazah over him, even if it was in the middle of the night. Why? Because she used to clean the masjid. Okay? So Rasulullah regarded that woman special person because she used to clean the masjid. Okay? So when you come to Jama Masjid or any masjid that you go to, if you see masjid dirty, don't complain. If you can get a vacuum and clean it, right, you will be rewarded instead of complaining. You will get the reward. And one of the things that is very common in our masajid, which is very, hurtful and frustrating, is that people chew their nails and then spit that nail on the ground. This is very common. You see. So this is something that Rasulullah, and then there are many ahadith on this topic. Continuously there are I think 10-12 ahadith on the same topic. So this shows to you that this is a very important thing that we need to consider. Like the other day, one person came to a sister from the community, came to me and she said, Hamza, I could not go in the women's section to make wudu even. Because there was one sister who went to the toilet, she made the toilet dirty because there was water everywhere. And then she came to make wudu and she was splashing water, there was water everywhere. And then she came to pray salah and then she made the carpet next to the restroom wet. You see, so sometimes people are doing this, so we need to respect them as brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Some people, they do it in the office.
Yes, some people, exactly. So, yes, some people. So we need to keep the masjid clean. Now, second one is the second hadith sharif is, in fact, if those brothers and sisters who come to the evening tafsir class, I would like to remind you that today in the tafsir class after Maghrib we have the ayat that are talking about masjid in Surah Nur. So inshallah we'll talk more about the respect and the adab of the masjid tonight, inshallah. So next hadith that we covered last week was that famous hadith narrated by Abu Huraira, in which Rasulullah said to Sahaba that when I'm praying Salah, when I'm reading Salah, I can still see you, although you guys are behind me. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given me the power of seeing what are the events that are taking behind me. So then Rasulullah said, I saw your khushu and khudu. Meaning I saw that khushu and khudu was, some of you were lacking khushu and khudu. So this was a mu'jiza of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Rasulullah would see what was behind him. Okay? So our ulama have mentioned here that this is one of the responsibility of the Imam. That after Salah, if he sees something wrong in the Musalli, he should inform them. And he should not care that, whether people will like it or not. Let's say if you are playing with your cell phone or whatever, the Imam felt that some people are, were praying Salah but they are not concentrating. So this is the job of the Imam to, after Salah, to remind people. And he should not care about what people would say. Now, another lesson from this hadith sharif is that the most important thing in Salah is khushu and khudu. Khushu means fear of Allah, right? Fear of Allah. Khudu means your humbleness to Allah. Meaning when you are praying Salah, your heart should be full of the fear of Allah. Right? This is why any act in Salah that is against the khushu, fear of Allah, that is not permissible. For example, if you are praying Salah and smiling, right? So you are making your Salah makruh. Why? Because you are in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your heart should be full of the fear of Allah. Here you are smiling. But if you are crying in Salah, that is desirable. Why? Because you are crying out of the fear of Allah. Okay? So you will see, especially in Haramain Sharifain, right, where the people are mostly Arab and they know what is being read in Quran by the Imam. So when the Imam reaches a certain ayah that hits their heart, you see that people are crying. People are crying. So this is out of khushu, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is desirable. Right? But if you are smiling in Salah, you are making your Salah makruh, because this shows that you do not have the khushu of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now if you laugh, I think in the coming ahadith we'll talk more about it. If you laugh in Salah, it's called qahqaha. Qahqaha means that you laugh in such a way that the person who was standing next to you heard you laughing. That is qahqaha. So qahqaha will make your Salah fasid, will break your Salah. Okay? Why? Because this is against the respect towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. That only those mu'minun are going to be successful who, when they pray Salah, their heart are full of khashi'un, khushu' of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Anfal, ayah number 2, Allah said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Verily, those people are the true believers. الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. That whenever Allah is mentioned, right, their heart start shaking with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So the best zikr is tilawat of Quran. And when you do tilawat of Quran in Salah, it is better than the tilawat that you do outside Salah. So when you are praying Salah and you are doing tilawat of Quran, so you are engaged in the best zikr among all the askar. Best zikr. So if you have khushu, khudur, so that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see from you in Salah. So Rasulullah reminded Sahaba after Salah that I did not see that khushu and khudu in some of you. So don't feel that I do not know because I'm facing Qibla and you are behind me. No, I can see even from behind me. So this was the mu'jiza of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so these are the old ahadith. Now the first hadith of today is this one. It's narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar. Yes, 412. Yeah, 412. So Abdullah ibn Umar says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered for a horse race. Rasulullah ordered for some of you are like, what, horse race? Rasulullah ordered for horse race. The trained horses were to run from a place called Al-Haifa to from Haifa to Thaniyatul Wada. So what happened was, and the horses which were not trained were to run from Thaniya to Masjid Bani Zuraiq. Okay. The sub-narrator added that Ibn Umar was one of those who took part in that race. So there are two things, brothers, to learn here. One thing is that our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right, he liked sports as well. Although that was not the primary habit or hobby of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked sports, and he appreciated when he would see somebody excelling in certain sport. Horse race was one of the things that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked. So he arranged for a horse race. Okay. Second thing that we see in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha some sports, some kind of sports that people who were visiting from outside Medina, right, they were showing. Now what exactly it was, some ulama differ, but that was some kind of sport. So Rasulullah brought Aisha and said, Aisha, see. So Aisha saw those men showing some kind of sport, and Rasulullah himself saw. Now you will see Khatimun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is he doing? His time is more valuable than al-a'yadu billah what he is doing. Because some of our ulamas, if you call them ulamas, will tell you that, who was telling me? Anwar Bhai was telling me that, in Bombay, an alim told him that, you play cricket? No, haram, this is, kya gotta be?
Wasting of time.
Yeah, wasting of time and all that. Now, Anwar Bhai came to Orlando and he saw me playing cricket. So he was saying, I was confused that when Bombay, Malik Zardar is wrong, and here the Imam Sahib is playing cricket.
Basketball.
And basketball.
And basketball.
American Imam.
But I used to play cricket there as well in India. So, but this is a tendency of how people think. And this is based on ignorance on the Siyat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then Rasulullah would run as well.
With Aisha.
With Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, right?
So she used to beat him.
And Rasulullah sallallahu encouraged people to learn swimming, horse riding, archery. So Rasulullah, encouraged. So if you say that sports is something un-Islamic, so it is wrong. Sport is part of our religion. Yes, too much indulgence into sport is wrong, right? Nowadays people are like too much into basketball, cricket all the time. That is wrong. Yeah, sports should be taken as sports, So like after Hadith Sharif class, what we do? They cricket for an hour and a half. So you cannot say this is wrong. Our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to encourage it, and he used to himself participate in that. So this is something that is, and then this is the beauty of our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he showed to us how to lead a normal life. And this is why I often have quoted this example of Umar radiallahu anhu, that one day after Salah, I think it was Fajr Salah, everybody who prayed Salah in Masjid we went to work. They were farmers, laborers, so they prayed Salah and they went to work after Ishraq. So Umar saw a young man in his early 20s sitting in the masjid. And he was wearing some kind of special dress, which normally people in Medina do not wear. So Umar said, "Come here, young man. Why are you not going and working?" He said, "No, I have nothing to do with the world, I don't work, I don't have." Umar said, "Yeah, go and work." Then he said, "There is no place of Rahbaniyya in Islam." Rahbaniyya meaning leaving the world.
Asceticism. Ascetic.
Yes, that's it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَرَحْبَانِيَّةً نِتَّدَعُوهَا مَا كَتَبْنَاهَا عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah said, "I have not prescribed you to leave the world." No. Umar said, "Go, you are a young man, go and work." So, balance. When it's time for salah, pray salah. When it's time to work, go to work.
So those alims might say that test match is wrong one day.
So sports. Now the thing here to now this is the first lesson that we learned, that sports were part of Rasulullah's Siratul Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so when we talk about the Siratul Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we should talk about these aspects as well. Not just So now second thing is that, and this is the reason why Imam Bukhari have mentioned this hadith here, is that Rasulullah specified that, okay, this team will run from this masjid to that masjid, to this place to that place. Okay? Now, one of the masjid there was called Masjid Bani Zuraiq. Masjid Bani Zuraiq. Now, this shows to us that in Madinah Munawwara, there were multiple masjids during the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu. So it was not only just Masjid Nabawi. Of course, that is the best masjid after Haram Sharif. But there were multiple masjids. So one of them was Bani Zuraiq. So Imam Bukhari rahimahullah mentioned this hadith sharif to prove one point, that you can name a masjid after yourself, or after any musalli that prays salah there, after your grandfather, whatever. Because here Bani Zuraiq means the children of Zuraiq. So there must be some person called Zuraiq. So that family made that masjid. So that masjid was named Bani Zuraiq. Now masjid could be named after anybody. It is not an issue. But there are few points to note all. One thing is that by naming a masjid after your grandfather or yourself or family member, you should not make the intention of showing off. Second thing is that masjid could be named after anybody, but the owner remains Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot make your own laws in the masjid. That this is my masjid, my grandfather's masjid, we made it. No. Once the masjid is made, then it is waqf lillahi ta'ala. Now brothers and sisters, since we are living in America, there's a very, not evil, but I would say wrong perspective about masjid. See brother, masjid is called a masjid when there are few conditions that are met. One of the most important principle is that masjid should be either bought by the local community, right? Or somebody gifted it. Then that piece of land is endowed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is called waqf lillahi ta'ala. Nobody should be the owner. If it is under the owner of somebody, it cannot be called a masjid. Let's say you bought a piece of land and you build a masjid. Now you did waqf lillahi ta'ala. It is still under your name. You are the owner. You don't trust the community. So he said, no, it will be under my name. I'm not going to give it to the community. So that masjid cannot be called a masjid.
Lease is not right.
So this is the shart is, condition is that piece of land, after you bought it, right? should be waqf lillahi ta'ala. Give it. You are not the owner anymore. You could be the mutawalli or here trustee, right, if you want to, but you are not the owner. So if it is not under the, if it is still under your ownership, then that cannot be called masjid. Second thing is that in US and in Canada and Europe, what we see is that people lease or rent places like in a shopping mall or here and there, and they call it a masjid, like Masjid an-Nur they say, right? It is wrong. It is completely wrong. You cannot, because the ownership is still not that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody had leased it and it is under his name. Everything is owned by Allah. The whole world is owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It is called the ownership majazi. Majazi kya in English? Yeah, temporary ownership. Okay. One is haqiqi, another is majazi. Haqiqi means in reality everything is owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given you some ownership on, let's say, your house. Now your house is under your name. You cannot say that no, it's under the name of Allah. No, it is your name. So the house belongs to Allah, but the ownership is given to you temporarily. In masjid, nobody should be the owner. You should give it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, you are the owner.
But in Jama Masjid also, it's owned by a trust.
Yeah, trust.
So if you're leasing a place, the trust can lease the place. Just like we're leasing from county for 99 years. When you buy something, it's not actually bought.
Yeah, so here's the difference. That still it is not owned. This is not owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not done waqf. Let's say Masjid Nur, because so it is leased. Okay? Right? It is not waqf lillahi ta'ala. Yeah, I mean this lease could be broken. Anytime. Something wrong, the owner comes, breaks it, now you can go to the court and fight and maybe you lose it. Right? So it is called musalla. You should call musalla. Now musalla is different than the masjid. The ruling of the masjid are different than musalla. So here we have to be careful. Until it is waqf lillahi ta'ala, you cannot call a certain thing masjid. And so you can name a masjid after a Nabi, right? After the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Masjid Rahman, Masjid Rahim, Masjid Falah, that's fine. You can name it after Sahabi, Masjid Bilal, or after any sifat, Masjid Taqwa, or Jama. Jama Masjid is Jama means where Juma takes place. Okay? Because brother, this word Jama, I think you should know this. Jama Masjid is a name that is a very medieval name. Why? Because back in old days, there used to be one Juma in the whole city. In the whole city, one Juma. So that masjid, when one Juma would take place, that is called Jama Masjid. There will not be multiple Juma in that city. This is why people who are from Indian subcontinent or Arab countries, you know that in every masjid there used to be a huge masjid. Huge masjid.
City.
Yeah, in every city. Right? And Juma will take place only in that masjid. So the beauty of that was that people from the whole city will come there. So you will get to know people. It would be like an Eid day, a weekly Eid. You will get to see so many people there. Thousands of people praying salah. Now brother, think 100 people praying salah and 1,000 people praying salah. You know the condition of the heart of the musalli is different when you are praying in a big jamaat. You see, it's a shock at Islam. You know, it's just you see so many Muslims there. So that was now what happened was when Muslims grew in numbers, and our life became very complicated. Now you don't have time, so you just come to pray salah and run back to your work. So now people started. They opened the masjid in every neighborhood, and now you have multiple. But I would recommend you that you pick the biggest masjid in your city and pray Juma Salah there. The 5 times salah you can pray in your local masjid. But Juma salah would be prayed at the masjid which has the maximum number of musalli. This is what Juma is all about. You know, the word Juma means to assemble. You see? So you can name a masjid after anybody, but the intention should be clean. That, you know, I'm not naming it after my grandfather because I want to show to the people that I belong from a very generous family and this and that. So otherwise, you know, you masjid after anybody, it's not a big deal. So Bani Zuraiq, Masjid Bani Zuraiq means the masjid of the children of Zuraiq. I think Masjid Al-Bir is also actually named it after some brother who donated it for his father. So that is good. It's not an issue. It's not an issue. But the intention should be clean. Okay, yeah. Next hadith. Now this hadith sharif is a hadith sharif that teaches us that various activities should take place in the masjid. So this hadith sharif is narrated by Anas. Anas ibn Malik said that some goods came to Rasulullah ﷺ from Bahrain. Rasulullah ordered the people to spread them in the masjid. Now imagine food, clothes, some jewelry, some other useful things came to Rasulullah, and Rasulullah spread it in the masjid, inside the masjid. That's what the hadith is teaching. It was spread in the masjid. It was the biggest amount of goods Rasulullah had ever received. He left for salah and did not even look at it. After finishing the salah, he sat by those goods and gave from those to everybody he saw. Now Al-Abbas, Rasulullah's uncle, came to him and said, "O Prophet of Allah, give me something too, because I have ransom for myself and of that of Aqil, his brother." Rasulullah told him to take. So he stuffed his garment with it and tried to carry it away. When he took too much in his clothes. But he failed to do so. He said, "O Prophet of Allah, order someone to help me in lifting this stuff." Rasulullah refused. No. So he then said to Rasulullah, "Will you please help me lift it?" Rasulullah said, "No." Then Abbas threw some of it and tried to lift it, but failed. He again said, "O Prophet of Allah, order someone to help me lift it." Rasulullah refused. Abbas then said to Rasulullah, "Will you help me lift it?" Rasulullah said, "No." Then Abbas threw some of it and lifted it on his shoulders and went away. Rasulullah kept on watching him till he disappeared from his sight and was astonished to his greediness. Rasulullah did not give up till the last coin was this. The point to note is Rasulullah did not take a single coin home. Not a single. Aisha said, Fatima said, "Rasulullah, give me something." Rasulullah said, "No. This is for people." He did not take a single coin home. Anyway, so this hadith teaches us that such activities can take place in the masjid. Any activity, brother, that is beneficial for the community can take place in the masjid. This brings us to a very important discussion, and that is the activities of the masjid. You see, back home, I don't know from which country you are coming from, back home, our masjid had become a place where it's done. No activities take place. Salah, another go. Salah, go away.
And lock it up.
Yeah. Whether lock it or not, but no activities take place. Otherwise, masjid should be, or masajid should be the center of the community. Here Rasulullah, now if we'll do this inside the masjid, we'll find criticism. You see? Brother, we are so much ignorant about deen. I'll tell you this one example. Look how ignorant we are. I mean, sorry to say, you could be a doctor, engineer, I don't know, whoever you are. But when it comes to religion, if you are ignorant, you are ignorant. Sorry to say this. You know, after 9/11, Mr. Sahib is here, he would remember that. After 9/11, you know, I thought that, you know, one of the reasons for the hatred towards Muslim is ignorance in the heart of non-Muslim. So I organized an open house in the masjid. right? It was the most successful open house ever in Orlando, I guess. I spent nearly a month going to neighborhoods, and I took the help of some of my students, and we went door to door in churches, Dr. Sami, and in churches and on the streets, on the neighborhoods. We handed out flyers and requesting them to come. Many a time we'll have a very bitter experience. People say, Muslim, Islam, no. But on the open house day, Masjid was full, packed. Although it started raining, but these people, non-Muslims, they packed the Masjid, men and women. Anyway, so it was a very successful event. When I was organizing it, one brother who is a physician, he came to me. It's 2011. Very mad, very angry. I said, what are you doing? He said, don't you know that this is the Masjid, house of Allah? And these non-Muslims will come in the Masjid, house of Allah? I don't know what had happened to you. And if I had any power, I would lock the door. I would not let these Christian Jews come to the house of Allah. This is our Masjid. And I was looking at him that he's supposed to be an educated person, and he does not know what he's talking about. So I just smiled. I did not say a thing to him because I wanted the event to take place first. So I just smiled. So at my smile, he got more mad that Hafiz Sahib is not fighting fire with fire. I smiled. So anyhow, when the event took place, that brother also came. He was sitting right in the end, angry, his face was red. So that event, Alhamdulillah, Subha Alhamdulillah, was beautifully done. Because what I did was that I picked those Americans who are Muslim to speak. And I deliberately kept myself in the background. I said, you speak, you tell them what Islam is. I'll be in the background. I'll take the question answers session. So it was a very good one. So after that, brother, and there were many pastors that came, many priests that came, it was full, mashallah. So it was a very good, and that kind of broke the ice. Now after that, we became good friends with Christian and Jewish religious people. So after that, my dear brother and sister, when this event was done, now I thought that now I should educate our Masjid people about what Masjid should be about. Okay. Now I picked those ahadith from the Seerah al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, invited non-Muslims to pray inside Masjid, to pray.
They stayed there for 30 days.
They came as a guest, but Rasulullah allowed them to pray inside the Masjid, Masjid Nabawi. Now these Christians came and they prayed, they called upon Jesus, shirk, inside Masjid Nabawi. When Sahaba complained, Rasulullah said, are they hurting you? He said, no, Rasulullah, leave them alone. Let them pray the way they want to pray. Non-Muslims would be invited by Rasulullah inside the Masjid, and Rasulullah will talk to them. Rasulullah will serve them. When Abu Sufyan came, who was mushrik at that time, to Medina, Rasulullah hosted him he came, he met Rasulullah in the Masjid. This is why it is said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rabbul Alameen, not Rabbul Muslimin. Allah is this is the house of Allah, everybody is allowed to come. Brother. So, but due to ignorance, now this goes back from where you are coming from. I'm coming from India. I can tell you, if a Hindu will go inside the Masjid,
He's dead,
there will be bloodshed.
They'll kill him.
People will yell, they will, Hindu Masjid? Because there is no concept of making da'wah there. You see, if you remember, last month there was Kumbh Mela, right, in India. If you have seen photographs of Kumbh Mela, 12 million people went there. And brothers, there were people without clothes. Their pandits, it's a part of their religious custom to be without clothes. Brother, look, think about it. This was exactly what was happening at the time of Rasulullah. When people will make tawaf, Uriyana, without clothes, and taking off their clothes to make tawaf. That was an act of tremendous reward based on their thinking. In Kumbh Mela, same thing was happening. Now when the whole world saw this one and they were laughing at Hindus, yesterday Indian government passed a law, I don't know whether you saw that, and they said that from next time when after 12 years Kumbh Mela will take place, no photography is allowed.
Photograph is not allowed. But there is
Only yesterday. No, brother, remember Islam is there for the last 1300 years. Now, still Jahiliyyat is taking place in India. Majority of the people, Indians, are kafir and mushrik. And it is because of us. We don't allow Hindus to come to the masjid. So how would they learn deen? We don't go to them. You know, making dawah is not even on our mind. If Zakir Hussain is doing dawah, we criticize it. You know, a big number of people are criticizing Zakir Hussain. Why is he calling kuffar towards Islam? And we have gone to that extent. There's no concept. The whole concept is Muslim talking to Muslim, Muslim talking to Muslim, Muslim talking to Muslim. Who will teach kuffar? So that's why, look, in India, there are people living like pre-Islamic times. So here Rasulullah will do all these activities in the masjid. Goods came from Bahrain. Rasulullah did not say, no, this is a worldly thing, keep it out from the masjid. No, Rasulullah, no, bring it inside. Because it is going to benefit people. So masjid is a place of worship, yes. But then all those activities that will benefit people, those activities should take place in the masjid. And this hadith sharif is a fine example of that.
But not selling and buying.
Of course, selling and buying is not permissible. But any charitable work, any work that is going to be helpful to the community, that should take place in the masjid. Now, quickly, a few more hadiths now. Anas ibn Malik said that I found the Rasulullah in the mosque. I found the Rasulullah in the mosque along with some people. He said to me, "Did Abu Talha send you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "For a meal?" I said, "Yes." Then he said to his companions, "Get up." They set out and I was ahead of them. What the hadith is saying, teaching is that the Sahabi came and he invited Rasulullah over a meal. Okay? Over dawah. You know. So Rasulullah accepted that dawah. Dawah and Rasulullah went to that person's house. So what Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is trying to prove is that in the masjid, you know, if you invite somebody saying, "Brother, let's go have dinner at my house." So that is an act of reward. Because feeding a Muslim is an act of reward. Because remember the famous hadith, I think we were talking in the class yesterday in the morning? The Rasulullah, if you do 3 things, you will go to Jannah easily. First is, say Assalamu alaikum accessibly. Second is feeding each others. You invite me, and someday I'll invite you. So inviting each other, you know, that creates love. You know, so Rasulullah wa'at'imut ta'am, inviting each other, that creates love. And third is sallu wa nasu niyam. You pray tahajjud salah when the rest of the people are sleeping. The Rasulullah said, "Tadkhul Jannah bisalam." You would easily enter into Jannah. So 3 things. One is saying Assalamu alaikum accessibly. Second is inviting each other over meal. And third is praying tahajjud salah. Rasulullah said, if you do these 3 things, you will enter into Jannah easily. So here, when this act took place, Imam Bukhari mentioned this hadith to prove that if you will do this in the masjid, you will get more reward. and the good act took place inside the masjid. Alright. So if you go to the masjid, let's say you invite somebody, brother, after salah, please come to my house, we'll have meal. So somebody cannot object, astaghfirullah, what are you doing, brother? This is the place of worship, not to invite each other for a meal. No, this is a part of our religion. To any good act that takes place in the masjid, Imam Bukhari is trying to prove you will be rewarded more than the same act which will take place outside the masjid. Second, next hadith sharif is by Sahih ibn Sa'd al-Sa'di. One more, brother Imam Ibn Hajar have written a point, I think I should mention the last hadith, is that when you are invited by somebody, you must accept that invitation. Except if you have a valid excuse. Right? Because the hadith sharif says, in one hadith sharif Rasulullah said, that a person who will not accept the invitation from his Muslim brother, he is breaking the commandment of Abu Qasim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, if there is something un-Islamic, that if I go to that person, how the place, there's going to be some un-Islamic thing, then yes, don't go. But just do not say no because you hate that brother or something. No, somebody, just like brother, if somebody says Assalamu alaikum and you don't like that brother, you have to say wa alaikum assalam. Whether you like that brother or not, you have to, it's an obligation. Similarly, when somebody invites you, whether you like that brother or not, you should go. So that's what Ibn Hajar rahimahullah have written. Yeah. Sahih ibn Sa'd Sa'di says that a man said, "O Prophet of Allah, if a man finds another man with his wife, should the husband kill him?" Later on, I saw the man and his wife doing li'an in the mosque. So, what this hadith is teaching us that at the time of Rasulullah, Masjid was the courthouse as well. Masjid was a courthouse. Here, this Sahabi had the unfortunate experience of seeing his own wife with another man. So he asked a question to Rasulullah. So now the Islamic ruling is that if the wife says that no, my husband is lying, he's accusing me of adultery, no, oh Prophet of Allah, or oh judge, whoever, I don't want it. So now the li'an takes place. Li'an means that she has to swear in the name of Allah that if I have done this, may Allah's curse befall upon me. So that's going on. So we'll not go into the details right now. But the point here is that since there was no Islamic code, so Rasulullah will bring such matters inside the masjid. And such matters will be decided inside the masjid. So masjid was serving as a courthouse as well. At the time of Rasul. At the time of Umar, these things were taken out of the masjid, and Umar made courts, small buildings as courts. But at the time of Rasulullah, it was done. So if such a situation arises, right, such things can still take place in the masjid. There's nothing wrong. Now, Abdullah. What is that? Yeah. Idban ibn Malik. It's hard to read Arabic words in English sometimes. Idban ibn Malik says that Rasulullah came to my house and said, "Where do you like me to pray?" I pointed to a place. Rasulullah then said, "Allahu Akbar." And we aligned behind him, and he offered 2 rak'ahs of salah. So as I told you last week as well, that at the time of Rasulullah it was a custom to invite Rasulullah. Right? And then when Rasulullah will go to somebody's house, the host will request Rasulullah to pray 2 rak'ahs of salah at a certain place. And that place will be taken as the most blessed place in the house. Because Rasulullah had prayed there. I mean, to have Rasulullah as a guest, well, you and I cannot even think of. So let me tell you a very good thing. One brother who just accepted Islam a few days ago, American brother, young boy, 25 years old, he came to the masjid to see me, and he said something which is, brother, so nice. I think I should share with you. He said that, Sheikh, before I accepted Islam, I used to read a lot about Islam, but I love Jesus dearly. Okay? So I was reading, but I was not accepting Islam. He said that, he said this to me in the masjid last week. He said that, Sheikh, what happened was that I went to sleep one night and I saw this dream. I saw this dream and I saw Jesus, Isa Islam. And I went to him to talk to him. So Jesus said to me that, don't come to me now, go to that person in the corner. You know, right there, he's Muhammad. Yes. He is Muhammad. Go and ask your question to him, not to me anymore. He said, I went there and my heart said that yes, he's Muhammad. Now he's a non-Muslim at that time. And he said that Rasulullah head was covered, like this. The rumal or the thing. And I said to him, O Prophet of Allah, I have few questions. So Rasulullah answered my question. But see, this hadith is so meaningful. He could not see the eyes of Rasulullah. All he saw was this part of Rasulullah, because he had not accepted Islam yet. So he said that I asked questions to Rasulullah and Rasulullah answered. He said, I woke up. Next day I became Muslim. He said, I just wanted to tell you this dream that I saw Rasulullah. Beautiful hadith, beautiful story. I said, subhanAllah, brother, because look, he went to Jesus, his Shariah does not apply anymore. So he said, I have to ask a question. So Isa Islam said, don't ask me, because his Shariah doesn't. Go to Muhammad. Ask your questions to Muhammad. And because he had not yet accepted Islam, so he said that I could not see the eyes of Rasulullah. That is an indication that since he had not accepted Islam, so Rasulullah did not want to see him eye and eye. But Rasulullah answered the questions. SubhanAllah, I said to him, brother, you are a very somebody like Rasulullah told you to accept Islam.
At least a non-Muslim also can.
Anybody can see Rasulullah. So I said, brother, it's a very blessed thing that Rasulullah told you to accept Islam and you met him in the state of kufr. So this is something that is very, very you are very fortunate to see Rasulullah. Young man, 25 years old. I said, subhanAllah. Now to see, so what I was saying that, imagine you being the host of Rasulullah. Rasulullah being your guest. So this itself is an act of tremendous reward. So whenever Rasulullah will come to somebody's house as a guest, so most of the time people will like Rasulullah to pray salat at a certain place, and they will take that place as the most blessed place in the house, and they will pray salat there. Okay, so this shows one thing, brothers, that those places that are touched by Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, Sahaba, we used to take that place as a special place. Okay, they will make that as a masjid within the house. Okay, so this means that brothers, every act that Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, especially Rasulullah, right? Every act was an act of blessings. Somewhere where Rasulullah have prayed, people will pray there. This is why I tell you about, I think I've told you many times about Maryam alayhi salam, right? And Zakaria alayhi salam. If you read Surah Al-Imran, that ayah, Hunalika da'a Zakaria Rabba. Hunalika Da'a Zakaria Rabba, that when Zakaria alayhi salam would come to see his niece, Maryam, in that chamber in Baitul Maqdis in Jerusalem, he will see fruits there, and these fruits were from heaven. So he would ask, Anna laki hada? How do you get these fruits? These fruits are not from Jerusalem. These fruits are not found. It's not grown. These fruits are not grown there. So who brings you these fruits? So qalat huwa min indillah. He did it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah yarzuq man yasha bighayri hisab. Allah can give to anybody anything. So then Quran says the Zakaria alayhi salam hunalika means at that place where the fruits were coming from heaven to Maryam. Hunalika da'a Zakaria Rabba. At that place, Zakaria made dua to his Rabb, and he said, Rabbi habli min ladunka dhurriyatan tayyiba. Give me children. He had no child, and he was an old man. He said, oh Allah, dhurriyatan tayyib, give me good children. So Allah said, I gave him Yahya. So our ulama have written, in fact, if you read Tafsir Majdi, in that Mawlana Abdul Majid have written very clearly that Hunalika is called Isme Zaman and Isme Makan, both. Hunalik means Isme Zaman, Makan, the place and the time, both. So there are some special places, and Nabi Zakaria alayhi salam understood that this is a blessed place, the chamber of Maryam, where fruits come from heaven. So he made dua there. So brother, this shows to us that at places where our Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had done certain acts, right? If you will do the same act there, it is a blessed place, right? So there is nothing wrong in that. So Sahaba will do this, and they will take that to be the masjid within their house. And last week I mentioned to you, and you remember, that it is highly recommended that in our houses we should have a certain place we should consider as masjid within the house. Our women can make i'tikaf during Ramadan. Yeah, musalla. So this is something that Sahaba used to do. So I'll stop here with 9:15. So we stopped here, and inshallah we'll continue next week from here. Before I start I'd like to quickly ask you, brothers, that we are making plans to go. talking about sports. We are planning to go. शराब भाई आप भी चलेंगे?
बगैर उसके पता क्या है, चाइल्ड अलाउड है ना?
Okay, now इसको जल्दी कर ले. अभी हम only 6, 7, 8 minutes. Okay, yes. So brothers, how much money? Yeah, we have 10 minutes. Brothers, we are talking about Usman radiallahu anhu's contribution towards Khilafat. So when Umar was stabbed, and he lived for 2 more days after being stabbed, and then he died as Shaheed. So, brothers, do you know the dua of Umar? He used to make a certain dua
in the Medina to be Shaheed.
Okay, good man. He used to say, Allahumma inni as'aluka shahadatan fi sabilik waj'al qabri fi baladi rasulik. He used to make this dua often. He said, oh Allah, I do not want to die on my bed. I want to die Shaheed. So when he was stabbed, he died out of that wound. And he was stabbed by a non-Muslim. So he died as Shaheed. And then he said, Waj'al qabri fi baladi rasulik. And Allah, make my qabr in the city of your Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, I'll take this 1.2.1 thing here. He's wanted his qabr to be in the city of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah accepted it in such a way that not only that Umar radiallahu anhu is buried in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu, but he's buried next to him. Next to him. But brothers and sisters, remember, he would not have been buried If Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha had not done that act, which alhamdulillah brothers shows her character, she had put that space for herself. Well, Rasulullah was buried in her room. It was her room. And then her dad, Abu Bakr, was buried. So she kept that place for herself. Then when I'll be buried, my qabr would be next to my husband and my dad's grave. So she kept it for her. When Umar was stabbed, and Umar was kind of certain that I'm going to die of this wound. So what he did was, that he was a genius, Umar, even in that condition. What he said was, he called his son Abdullah ibn Umar. He said, come here. He said, go to Aisha and tell him that Umar is dying. Umar's request is that if you can allow him to be buried next to Rasulullah and Abu Bakr, right? You know, it would be a great act of sacrifice from you. But if Aisha says no, that since she is Ummul Mu'mineen, do not insist upon her. Right? So Abdullah ibn Umar went, knocked the door of Aisha, and he said, my father Umar is dying, as you know. He is saying that his wish is to be buried next to Rasulullah sallallahu. So if you give permission, he'll be buried. If you say no, then it's no. Now she could have easily said no. Brothers and sisters, imagine what a big blessing it is to be buried. I mean, billions of people have went to Masjid Nabawi, still are going, right? And when you go there, you say Salam to Rasulullah sallallahu, then Abu Bakr, and then Umar. If instead of Umar, if Aisha was buried there, brother, till the day of judgment, she should have been receiving so many salat and salam. But she could have easily said no. But she cried. And she said to Abdullah ibn Umar that Abdullah, go and send salam to Umar and tell him that it was my desire to be buried next to my husband and my father. But I will give preference to his wish over my wish. Brother, this is an act of you need guts, you need iman.
Wasn't there a dream where she saw 3 moon and her?
Yes, you're right. So I just wanted to bring this up, that that was Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. I mean, she was an exemplary woman. Otherwise, I mean, no money can buy the honor that Umar has right now. But I believe, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be giving so much reward to Aisha for this qurbani and sacrifice.
Already given.
The Sahaba was Sahaba. That's why we cannot compare nobody with Sahaba. Yes.
She has to live. After that, she has to also have to leave that house because now there is stranger.
Yes. Now Aisha, after Umar was buried,
She has to leave the place.
when she will go to her own room now, this Rosa, she will cover her head with proper hijab. Somebody asked that, why do you do this? She said that now a non-mahram is buried here. Umar, he was not mahram. Rasulullah and father is mahram. So she said that sometime when I will go to the Rosa, and she will spend hours there, so she will take out her hijab, she will sit there. But after Umar was buried, she said that now no more. Although it is a qabr. So that was, in Urdu कहते हैं बड़े लोगों की बड़ी बातें. So anyway, so when Umar was stabbed and he was certain that he is going to die, so he made a committee of 6 people to choose the next Khalifa. And among them was Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. And he made a declaration. He said, nobody should choose my son as Khalifa. Abdullah ibn Umar should not be chosen as the Khalifa. The rest you can choose anybody. So these 6 people were, now what happened was, they were, when they sat down, this committee sat down, they deliberated for 3 days to choose the next Khalifa. And they chose Usman radiallahu anhu. Now Usman was the most elderly person in the group, right? But he was chosen to be the next Khalifa. So then he took the oath of office on the 4th day. Now, so this happened. Let's skip that. Okay. So he took the laqab of Amirul Mu'mineen, and he was chosen to be the third Khalifa. Now his Khilafat lasted for 12 years. Now remember, the Khilafat of Abu Bakr lasted for 2.5 years. The Khilafat of Umar lasted for 10 years. But the Khilafat of Usman lasted for 12 years. Right? And remember what Rasulullah said about Khilafat? That it will last for 30 years. Rasulullah prophesied. And 4th Khalifa Ali was assassinated, got shahadat 30 years after. So meaning the Khilafat did last for 30 years. So his Khilafat lasted for 12 years. Now Usman did many things, inshallah, we'll learn over the coming weeks. But one of the things that he did was, brother, experience counts. He was such an experienced man. Since he was a businessman, he knew what he was doing. So the first 6 years of Usman's Khilafat were full of peace. There were no internal problems, nothing that were, because the khutut were laid by Umar. What Umar had done, right, was so that he had established Islamic government. Everything was working perfectly. And Umar's inside was so deep that he would smell fitna. And he would literally put an end to the fitna. So he was amazing. So for 6 years, there was no internal problem. Everything went peacefully. But then the last 6 years of his Khilafah, right, were full of turmoil, full of fitna. And thanks to the people of Kufa and Basra of Iraq, all the fitnas started there. And they are the people who really killed Osman after the 12 years of his Khilafah. So here it means that although during his Khilafah, Islam spread a lot. For example, here it says that Usman had the distinction of working for the expansion of Islam. He sent first official envoy to China in 1650. The envoy was headed by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, radiallahu ta'ala. So and then it was they built a masjid there. And somebody went to China and they told me that they have seen that masjid there. So the masjid is there in China. So it was Osman radiallahu ta'ala who brought Islam to China, and then to Sri Lanka. Islam was brought to Sri Lanka there, and that's it. Okay, so we'll keep it till there.
1650 1650.
Islam was brought to China. Okay, inshallah, we'll continue from here next week, inshallah. So, subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanallah, wa bihamdi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.